One of the most influential filmmakers in the history of Hong Kong cinema is Wong Kar-wai. Wong is often known for his unconventional style of filmmaking. If you watch his movies expecting a very straightforward presentation, you are probably going to be very confused and disappointed. A traditional narrative structure is not a main focal point in his style, it's just not a part of what he does. You can't watch his films and expect a great deal of exposition dump. You can't expect to be told what's going on. Instead, he opts for telling his stories using details, music, and camera work. One of the best examples of this is 2000's In the Mood for Love. In this video, we will explore In the Mood for Love and how Wong Kar-wai uses his signature style to create this cinematic classic. In the Mood for Love takes place in Hong Kong during the 1960s and tells the story of a journalist, Mr. Chow, and a secretary, Mrs. Chan. They move into the same crowded apartment building next to each other. Soon, they discover that their spouses have an affair together. With this knowledge, they grow closer and slowly develop feelings for one another. Sounds like a simple plot, right? Believe it or not, this film actually had a very turbulent story all the way to getting made. In 1998, Wong traveled to Beijing with an idea for a film. He did not have any script ready, but rather just an idea on what the film would be about, as well as a title, Summer in Beijing. Wong wanted to do something similar to his previous film, Chungking Express, where his movie would be split into different individual stories. However, shooting in Beijing proved to be very difficult, so he decided to leave Beijing and bring the story to Hong Kong. As for the structure of the film, he decided to keep one of the three stories planned. A story of food, which would tell the story of a man and a woman eating noodles together and sharing secrets. This film took a total of about 15 months to film. It was a grueling process for the actors, as Wong was known to improvise a lot without having any specific idea in mind. He was just the type of guy to just go with the flow and see where it would take him, which led to constant plot changes even after filming had started. It was frustrating for actors such as Maggie Cheung, who had a lot of trouble trying to figure out the character she was playing, but since it's Wong Kar-wai, you just kinda had to trust the process. As they got closer to the 2000 Cannes Film Festival, the film wasn't yet made, and Wong and his crew were still working endless hours to reshoot and edit all the footage. As for the title, the film changed from a story of food to secrets before settling on In the Mood for Love. On May 20, 2000, In the Mood for Love premiered at the Cannes Film Festival to much critical success. The end result of this film was very masterful. It tells a really beautiful story about loneliness and fantasy. It steers away from a typical love story that most people would expect. In fact, I am not even sure you could consider this a love story, at least in the traditional sense. There is very little of what you would consider an on-screen romance in this film. There's a lot of will they, won't they? This film focuses on ideas more than just love. Most of the drama comes from the emotional confusion from the characters, Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chan, portrayed by the great Tony Leung and Maggie Cheung, respectively. Their spouses are having an affair with each other and they're left wondering what happened. They spend time with each other trying to figure things out, including moments where they reenact what they think happened between their spouses. I think Wong has a very interesting method to tell the story. I say that because the concept of time moves very differently in this film. For example, there seems to be a ton of repetition. It feels like our characters are stuck in a time loop as you see the same scenes happen over and over again, such as walking up and down a corridor. I interpret this as Wong showing us how our characters are mentally, emotionally trapped. They live very mundane lives and they don't know how to move forward after discovering their spouse's affair. It makes them seem very lonely and you really feel for them. There are also very random time jumps throughout the film, implying that this story takes place over a long period of time, but not much has happened in their lives. They're unable to move forward. They just go on about life with the knowledge of the affair in their heads, and that sounds like a really horrible thing to go through. I also really like the camera work in this film. There are often scenes where you feel like you are there watching in person the conversation between Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chan. The camera is positioned in a way that it feels like you are peeping through the doorway or you're sitting quietly in the corner watching and listening. To me, that's very metaphorical. Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chan both live in a very crowded apartment. Despite feeling lonely, both of them are also constantly bombarded by their neighbors and landlords, so there's no privacy. Their neighbors play mahjong all the time and they gossip, and the camera makes us feel like we are one of them. It's also interesting how there are characters in this film that you can hear, but they never show their face on camera. in a way symbolizing how absent they are in Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chan's lives. Another thing I want to talk about for this movie is the music. I think Wong Kar-wai chose his music perfectly for this film. It's truly a fantastic score that reinforces the exact mood of this movie. They enhance what you see on screen. Going back to repetition, a lot of the songs play over and over again, but those songs reinforce the situation our characters are in. There are great tracks like Yumeji's theme, but Nat King Cole's Spanish cover of Quizás, Quizás, Quizás is my personal favorite. I really love this film. I've seen it a few times now, and every time I watch it, I notice more and more details. There's very little, if anything at all, to criticize. The only thing I could think of is that the structure and presentation of the film may be a bit confusing for some people who don't really care for the little details in the movie, but overall, I would say this movie gets a high recommendation. Thanks everyone for watching. This channel is mainly for me to just talk about something I love, so it means a lot to me that someone out there is open to taking time out of their day and to listen to my thoughts. Let me know what you think about In the Mood for Love in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.